When the Baal Shem Tov came around, there was a serious crisis, obviously. And it was necessary for the Baal Shem Tov to create a revolution, to make a radical, serious change, because something was not right. What was wrong? What was the problem? What was the danger? What was the crisis? So if you read the stories of the Baal Shem Tov, the Maisalach, the crisis was that the Talmidei Chachamim of the generation rejected and ignored the Anoshim Pshutim. The truth is, they didn't just ignore them. They hated them with a passion. And they treated them like dirt in extreme cases. So people say that was the crisis. No. The crisis was, like it says in the Sichos, in the Yeshimas, it said the crisis was that the people, Am Yisrael, were fachalished. We were fainting from all the tzaddas, from all the whatever. Shabtai Tzvi. The Baal Shem Tov came along to revive a people that were basically fainted, in a coma. What does that mean? I understand that they were broken-hearted, they were frightened, they were discouraged. The true problem that was not a temporary down time, but a real problem for the future, a danger, was that Yedias Hashem had completely disappeared. There was no Yedias Hashem. The big Talmidei Chachamim knew Halacha, they knew Gemara, they even knew Kabbalah, but there was no Yedias Hashem. When the Baal Shem Tov said that the Anoshim Pshutim are closer, higher, better in some way than the Talmidei Chachamim, what he really meant to say was the Anoshim Pshutim still know that there's an Eibishter. They have a Yedias Hashem, not the Yedias Hashem of a Chacham, the Yedias Hashem of an Ish Poshet. By them, the Eibishter was the Eibishter. There was no Chachmas. They were still in touch with an Eibishter. Talmidei Chachamim no longer had an Eibishter. They had a Torah, they had Lomdus, there was no Eibishter. And that's why all those jokes about the Talmidei Chachamim who thought they were the biggest tzaddikim in the world, and the Eibishter doesn't know how to reward them and how to thank them. And they had such a crazy notion of an Eibishter that it was horrible. The Baal Shem Tov basically brought back, I'm not sure when it was, but he brought back the Eibishter. The Alter Rebbe took it a step further and brought the Eibishter not just into a simple emunah awareness, but push it into seichel, to understand the Eibishter, to get to know him. That's Chassidus. Al pi nigla, there's a mitzvah of Yedias Hashem, which is a constant mitzvah, and you have to ask yourself, how do you do that? How do you fulfill the mitzvah of Yedias Hashem? What do you know about the Eibishter today that you didn't know yesterday? Or last year? So it's not enough to say, I learned another daf, another blot, I learned another maimer, I learned another sicha. What do you know about the Eibishter? The fact that Chassidus was Megala, that there's a kavana of a dira b'tachtonim, that's a big piece of information about the Eibishter. that nobody knew before. That Nesav Eloi HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nobody knew that. Nobody understood that. Do we understand that? That's the. So now we have to know, what does it mean to understand? You learn something. Did you understand it? How do I know if I understood it? What's the test? When you understand something, you can say it in your own words. They say about the Rebbe's brother that he could explain and describe all the madregas from Chachma de Bria, something like that, without using a Hebrew word. That's big. First of all, what is Bria? Don't use a Hebrew word. What is Chachma de Bria? Don't use Hebrew words. How is it different from Atzilus, and how is it different from Bina de Bria? Don't use Hebrew words. Can you tell me?